Hi, everyone. This is Brian. Today, we're going to talk about Salesforce releases. Salesforce has 3 releases a year: spring, summer, winter. Pretty clockwork. They give you a sandbox, you test it out. Pretty easy. This year, for the spring 25, for those of you that have Salesforce orgs that are older than 2020, something interesting might have happened. You may have gotten an email on a random Saturday at 8 in the morning that says something like this: your Salesforce release update enforcement was unsuccessful. We were unsuccessful in enabling the ICU Locale formats release update in your production org. It failed because there was a code with an API version less than 45. Now, for those of you listening, and maybe if you have a Salesforce org newer than 2020, this maybe doesn't apply to you directly, but keep watching anyway. So, ICU Locale, here's what this is. So, if you think about dates and times and currencies, those might vary from locale to locale. So, in the US here, we say month, day, year. It's May 5th, 2025. But our friends over in the UK would say, no. It's actually, let's say October 5th is actually 5th October, right? Some countries like Korea, China, and Iran actually do year, month, day. Now, US, of course, we're one of the only ones that do month, day, year, because we're the US. Now, when Salesforce was first implemented, it used JDK, which is Java Development Kit, to code the date and time functionality, and that was really US-centric primarily. So it just assumed in the code we were doing month, day, year. Well, in 2020-ish, Salesforce said, nope, we're going to adhere to the ICU Locale, which is an internationally established set of rules, which can accommodate all the different nuances at the locale level. No, so and that was standard in 2020 onwards. So if you've got a Salesforce org in 2021, you're all good. You're using the new ICU format. But if it's older, you're not. Okay. Why is that a big deal? Well, imagine you have some code, right? And in that code, you're doing some evaluation and you're maybe looking at a date saying, hey, what's the difference in days between this date and this date? Or maybe you're running some sort of computation. Well, if you're assuming it's month, day, year, well, you're going to, for example, take those first 2 characters and just assume they're the month. But in a ICU world, that may not be the case. And so we have the potential for there to be data display issues, maybe user confusion, potential errors in code that was written using kind of that more old school methodology. And Salesforce has said, no, we are requiring that you have your code up to a certain level in terms of what's called an API version in order to have this release go out, right? Which is a smart move. They want to make sure that everything is being consistent. But again, you have some of these older orgs that, oops, we're still using kind of the older API. So this really isn't a huge deal, honestly. Now, it could be a big deal if you happen to have some old code that's super, maybe complicated as it relates to dates and times. For you, that definitely look at that. But for the most people, here are 3 things to do. Number 1, if you have managed packages that maybe are out of date, maybe you haven't bothered to update them in a few years, update them. And all the vendors, they publish new versions. And by the way, they were aware of this. So most people in the App Exchange already anticipated this, and they already upgraded their packages, but you have to go do it yourself. Also, if you have any managed packages that you don't use anymore, get rid of them. I know a lot of orgs that have a lot of old, functionality that no one really uses anymore. Well, get rid of it. Do some house cleaning. That's another way to take care of it. Now, if you happen to have some code, maybe Visualforce code or Apex code, which a lot of you do, well, you're going to want to get a developer involved. And we're not talking programming. We're just talking updating the API versions. Now, you might want to have that developer just take a peek at the code and say, do we have any logic in there that might need to be tweaked because it's making some assumptions that we're using kind of an older format? Not won't apply to most of you, but some I would encourage you to have them take a peek. And that's really it. And then you can go into the org. There are a couple of tools available where you can go to what's called the release section, the release update section, and you can see exactly where you might not be compliant. And there's a little box that would show the ICU locale format issue. So you can double check that you've done everything correctly. And then the next release, I think it's going out in June. You'd be good. It'll go out. No problems at all. So bottom line is, don't be super alarmed. I mean, right now, but you're gonna want to make sure if this is it falls in your situation, get it updated by June. So the next time the release goes out, you're going to be great. So that's a little bit about ICU locale formats, a little bit about releases. But I was personally a little surprised when I saw this, and so and I do this all the time. So I thought it would be important to share with you all my perspective there. So thanks a lot. Talk to you next time.